Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon in some places. Let that intro play real quick. That'll work. That's good enough. I don't want to get pulled from YouTube either. What's up, everybody? Today is Thursday, March something. I don't know. Don't ask. You know what time it is. If not, look at your phone. Just have to turn the stereo off real quick. About the speakers next time it plays. What's good, everybody? Hopefully everybody's doing well. Just want to make sure I'm on mute here with the phone. Don't want any interruptions. By the time this podcast is over, maybe the Facebook post will be up and live. Until then, Instagram is live already. So hopefully, joining me from wherever you are. So hopefully everything is well. This one's going to go straight up to iTunes and Google Play. Since we have that up and running now, you can subscribe to the Perception Therapy podcast there. Excuse me. Here. So I need cold water. Unfortunately, some of you people are freezing right now, and that's unfortunate. Get yourself to a warmer place in life, man. It's not all about the snow. Snow's cool when you get to visit and leave, man. That's the best. My best memory of snowing was visiting my father for Thanksgiving 10 years ago. My daughter was less than a year old, and it was great. We, aside from the travel into the airport, which we got delayed at Miami International leaving, we made it to the airport in New Jersey right before they closed for weather. So it was perfect because it actually started snowing as we were coming down. So we got a good 24 hours of snow there and nice and clean. My father now lives in New Jersey, so it wasn't like the New York City snow. Shit. It was actually really nice where he lives now. So, yeah, good memory. Hope all is well with everybody. UFC 209 was last weekend. If you did not see it, you did not miss much. Tyron Woodley, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson rematch. That was mostly uneventful. There were a couple good moments in the fight, just like the first one, but 5 rounds of a lot of measuring their distance and being cautious. So that's not what makes the most interesting UFC fight. Such is life. So there's a lot of activity going on in front of the house today because they are doing a little park across the street now. I brought up the park a couple times. It was supposed to be taken over by the farms. What they ended up doing was fencing in around it so that we can access the park directly across the street from us, but not the farm past those trees. So, yeah, one of the relatives down here on the street is building the largest seesaw, according to Guinness World Book of Records, and he is getting all the permits and everything necessary to make sure that he can leave it where he is putting it out in this open field. I'm sure that the reason for all the hesitation is liabilities. I'm sure knuckleheads of any age would come up here and play with this very gigantic seesaw. When he's done with it, I'll show it to you. I don't want to show it to you yet because then somebody's going to steal the idea, unfortunately, because he's been working on this for about 5 years, and just now his project is hopefully coming to an end. He's been welding and grinding down the street for about 3-4 weeks now, and he's making good progress there. So, yeah, man, what else is new? Our dog Nana had puppies, but we don't know where they are because she jumped into the farm field behind us, which is barbed wired off, and decided to have her puppies in there, I guess, for safety. So she comes around maybe once every 2 days, 3 days to get some food, and we give her some water, and we let her go back out. She's taking care of puppies. So hopefully they'll become mature enough to follow her out here onto the street and over to the house or over to our I like to call it a compound. I'm not quite sure. It's just a bunch of houses that are owned by family here. It's one large property with several houses on it. You know, so not bad. What else is happening in the world? La 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 la. Still waiting for a theme song from D. Until then, I'll play some MF Doom and anything else that won't get me kicked off of YouTube. you know, if he takes any more time with that, I think we're just going to have to call it a day and reach out to another artist. I am looking for some theme music for the podcast. It's enjoyable for me to listen to other podcasts and hear the theme music, so I figured why not do the same. Today's theme music was Doomsday by MF Doom featuring Sade, even though that's not a real feature. That was a mix somebody put together, but it sounds excellent. MF Doom, not really relevant these days, not even in his own time. But as far as lyricism and being able to keep a rhyme structure throughout a song, he's pretty unique, very unique indeed. A lot of funny, witty rhymes, but yeah, good stuff. Yeah, what else have I been working on here? YouTube, give me. I don't need that right now. That's cool. I've been watching these videos lately on the Functional Patterns channel of YouTube that I subscribe to. This gentleman, Naudi Aguilar, does a lot of great workouts that incorporate human movement. So we're not just doing curls and bench pressing and squatting, which is anatomically incorrect in all aspects. The bench press, maybe not so much, but there's not too many times in life where you're in that position where you got to just bench press yourself or anything off of you. Yeah, so he does the functional pattern exercises. I've been doing those at the beach in the morning. I've been going every other day to Ponte Playa. You can probably see a little bit of forehead tan there. So yeah, trying to get jacked. Not really. Just having fun with it, trying to stay loose. Trying to make sure just really prevent injury, man. It's really all I work out to do. You know, I'm not about the aesthetics of working out. I don't have a six-pack unless it's in my fridge in the, you know, waiting for me to drink it. Nor do I care to have a six-pack. Don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It makes no difference to me. The abs are hard underneath. They're covered by a soft, beautiful layer of fat. I'm cool with it. Keeps me warm out here in the heat. What else is new? I told the story last time of the horse. We were revisited by a group of horses the other day, but they were a pain in the ass and knocked over all the garbage cans on the street, so not too cool. That's not cool. Oh, well, might as well show you this new hair pick that I'm working on for the wife. The last two that I worked on, she broke one of them, and God knows what she did with the other one. She probably lost it. It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, trying to work around this hollow hole that you can see right through the shaft. I did not expect that to be there, but it looks like some termites got to this piece of wood. Funny story. This belonged to a couch that used to sit underneath the overhang, which is part of our uncle's house next door. And I was watching whatever I was watching on a Saturday one day, and I hear the just slamming. It sounded like a sledgehammer. And Primo, my wife's cousin, was trying to break the couch apart with a baseball bat and a crowbar. So, you know, when that happens where you get a tapping sound and it's just been going on too long and it just gets really annoying, easy way to fix it, go fucking help. Go fucking help. Get off your ass, stop worrying about a sound, and go help. Go do some physical movement. It felt great to break the shit out of that couch. We tossed it across the street. Garbage people came a week later, took it. But I scrapped a bunch of wood. This was one of the pieces. My wife's other two hair things. I don't know what else to fucking call them. They're hair things. They put them in their hair to keep it in the stationary position. But I'm whittling, not whittling. I turned the sander onto this one because whittling took too long. This is the size of the piece of wood that it was originally. So all I did was cut that in half. Wow, that's a terrible halfway mark. But you can see some of the little termite holes in this piece of wood. For those of you watching on YouTube. Those of you listening to me, sorry, you guys can't see this, but go to YouTube, you can see the video. So yeah, cut that in half and started whittling. once I started whittling down to a nice point, I started sanding because I want this end to be nice and round and smooth, just so that my wife doesn't poke herself. She can only poke herself with this side. And yeah, call me paranoid. I left it long enough to become a shank for her in case she ever needs to. You know, I'm not Donald Trump that's going to claim all Puerto Ricans are rapists. Actually, I haven't met a rapist Puerto Rican yet in my 33 years of life. So hopefully that'll continue. But yeah, you just never know where you're at, man. My wife's an attractive woman, and if she's going to be targeted, then somebody's going to fucking lose an eye or get poked in the cheek. Some shit. Yeah. Fucking paranoia of a city person. That's what it gets you. You get to thinking everybody's evil, especially when you watch the news, you know? Yeah. What you gonna do? No idea how long I've been recording. I told myself I was gonna set up a timer, but I just wanted to check in on you guys. I will be coming back Saturday, 7 p.m. Atlantic. Nope, 6 p.m. Central, so that's gonna be 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Atlantic Time. We'll be coming back to the Perception Therapy Podcast, episode 36, and that will be with my buddy Adam Fiegel. He was, I forget what his job was, but I want to say he was engines in the military with us. He was one of those people that's hilarious to be around. I'm sure you guys will all understand on Saturday when he joins us. Just an all-around awesome guy. I remember playing a lot of spades with him, but we'll be on talking about our time in the service together, our deployments, and the passing of a very dear friend. Brandon Pugh passed away a couple of weeks ago. On the last podcast, I had sent up his GoFundMe, and as a matter of fact, that will be the same scenario this time. I will have the GoFundMe link in the description of the podcast today, either on YouTube, iTunes, or Google Play. It won't matter. It'll be in all three places. I would really appreciate it if you donate anything you can afford to let go. A friend of mine from the military passed away in a car accident. His son was in ICU up until a couple of weeks ago. He doesn't look now like he is recovering well. I'll assume they had to operate on his head just because the Facebook pictures I saw looked like they had a shaved piece of his head, and they usually only do that when they're going in for operations. So from what I understand, his therapy is going very well, and you know, it's difficult, you know, to lose a member of the family, especially when they're the sole breadwinner. So you know, my friend Brandon's wife, Lindsay, is unfortunately had to take that brunt. On the flip side of that, it was extremely heartwarming to see how the military family got together, and they raised $24,000 in a week to get Lindsay and her kids, Brandon's kids, everything they need. You know, sole breadwinners taken away. That puts a stress on everything in the household. So you know, the military family stepped up, raised $24,000, was able to give it to her before Brandon's wake or funeral, whichever process they took. You know, I'm not too familiar with his religious affiliation, if you had any. You know, regardless of what that is, hopefully that, you know, ceremony to celebrate his life went well. And, you know, all we can hope for now is swift grieving for the family. You know, yeah, it's not good. You know, it's one of those things. It's another reminder that, you know, you got to make the most of every day. I'm sure, as with a lot of people who were deployed during the war, that still continues to today in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know, there were several times in many people's eyes that they wouldn't make it home that day, that night, that morning, you know, whatever that case is. When you live through those situations, it should not put a comfort in your heart that nothing's going to happen to you. Obviously, everything happens. Everyone meets their end at some point. To assume it's going to happen to you while you're in the military on deployment is it's probably playing good odds, but it's something, a reality that we all accepted. And fuck it, I'll stop speaking for everybody else. It sucks for me to see a guy live through the military deployments, all the struggles we faced there, to fucking get killed in an accident. I don't know. I still don't know the details, of the accident, but in my eyes, that's shitty, man. Nobody should have to live through that just to get taken out by a car accident. Meanwhile, while I say that, I'm sure car accidents take more lives than I'm giving it credit for. So, just upset a buddy died and left his family behind. His kids will at least the older ones will have memories of how great of a guy he was. The little ones will hopefully hear good things about their dad. He was a good man. Liked him a lot. Let's see, there were other things I wanted to touch on. I wrote some down today. How you like me now? Woodworking, covered that. I've been working out on the rings. Yep, doing the functional patterns training. Said that before. No big deal. The dogs around here have been fucking annoying as shit. Because ours had the puppies. I jokingly call them a squadron of dogs. There's a group of dogs that live past the neighbor's house, and they're the neighborhood assholes. They knock down garbage cans. They bark and howl all night long. Last night there was a fight in front of our house, and the night before the same thing. These fucking stray dogs are a pain in the ass. Some of them are cute as shit when you see them on the side of the road, and they're all small puppy-like, but eventually they all grow and fucking cause havoc anywhere they can. Our aunt left, who owns the chickens in the back, so the chickens are free once again. They have been in their cage since, I think, December. I want to say she put them away right before Christmas. We were expecting family to come over up into the whatever it is, man. It's the first floor to my uncle's house. There's no outside walls. It's just columns. So it's a nice little carportish area where we park the cars when floods are coming. And, I guess she got annoyed with the chickens. They're sociable chickens, but they get aggressive, meaning if you're eating, they're coming for your food. Before we moved here, they never left that little cage enclosure. Chickens are raised in pens all the time, especially when they're factory farmed. They're raised in little fucking shithole of a pen that they can barely fit into. So when we got here, I did the liberal thing and got them out of the cage, started feeding them more than just the corn they eat. And they started laying a bunch of eggs, and they've slowed down a lot recently. So we're going to pull them out of the cage while she's gone, while our aunt is gone, and she's not here to complain about them being loose. We're going to let them free, let them, not free range because they're not in the grass, but, they eat the weeds and bugs that they find in the backyard, and there's plenty of them. So all good there. Looking to maybe making a trip to Miami soon. So hopefully I'll be posting that when the time comes. Don't reach out to me to hang out. That's not what I'm there for. I'm there to see family and hold meetings. I am trying to lock down some more clients from a real estate office I've been working with recently, and try to get some more properties moved for them. What else? I'm sure something is happening around the world. Hopefully everything is well where you are. That's what I meant to bring up. Dominic Cruz. Damn it, I hate bringing stuff up late. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago. For those of you who are not fight fans, he was the bantamweight. Nope, not bantamweight. Yeah, bantamweight champ for the UFC 135-pound division. He lost his title the same night Ronda Rousey got knocked out for the second time. I don't remember what night that was. I want to say it was December or something. But he lost his title in a 5-round fight with Cody Garbrandt. He had been the short backstory. I will be quick. He was injured, so he was at one point the champ. He was injured for about 4 years and could not fight. His title was taken from him, even though he never lost it. When he came back from his injuries, he fought a 1-round knockout against a very high contender. That fight propelled him back to his title. He won his title and had kept it for 3 fights. He lost his title, and it was very interesting to watch him go on the Joe Rogan podcast and talk about that loss so openly and so freely. If you're a fight fan, there's no shortage of fighters who take a loss and are unseen for months at a time. Conor McGregor's probably the exception to that rule. When he lost to Nate Diaz, he was on the microphone that same night and the next morning talking all kinds of shit, waiting to do his comeback. So that was interesting to see. It was great to see Dominick Cruz's what happened, his explanation of that fight, how it progressed. It was interesting to hear his mindset going through that fight, because for those of you who don't know him, just disregard this. Go ahead and skip ahead a few minutes. But for those of you who are fans of Dominick Cruz or the fans of the UFC and have seen him fight before, that dude has awkward movements. It looks like he's breakdancing while he's fighting, and it gives his opponents no time to set up for him, whether it be defensively or offensively. So to watch him lose the way he did was interesting, because he abandoned all his typical motions. He was coming straight forward without, regard for Cody's power, and he got laid down a couple times. I know I spoke about this after the fight, but it was amazing to see his chin. He would get dropped flat on his back, and before any time had passed by, he was back into a sprawl trying to get to Cody's legs. So interesting to see what kind of chin Dominick Cruz has. To watch him on the podcast talking about how the title means only what it means in the fight game was very interesting. He's lost the title before, and he says fighting is not everything. It's just what he loves to do, and he has that understanding that it's okay to. Everyone has to learn to die more than once, right? And what do I mean by that? You're not going to die, become Lazarus, come back and die again. What I mean by that is points of your life come to an end, right? So for me, that resonates always to the Air Force, because for a long time I hated the fact that I was in. I had a lot of resentment in my heart when I got out because of the circumstances that led to me getting out. And I didn't take it well, so that was on myself. That was my own doing and my own perception of what was happening to me instead of what I had done. And even though when I think back on it, what I did was extremely minor compared to the actions that they took, my time in was still good, is the point of all this. Regardless of my feelings afterwards, my emotions after the military, my time in was extremely good. I was actually just talking to Adam a few minutes ago on Messenger when I was trying to get this podcast lined up for Saturday. And it was interesting to hear his point on that too. He says he misses it. And I told him I do too, and he says, I know it's crazy, but, I miss working with the group of guys that we had. And according to him, he's spoken to some of those guys, and they all say the same thing. That was the best time. I have to agree. It was a great time for me to be a young guy who didn't have any other responsibilities aside from the military. I was able to focus on it every time I needed to, and it made me good at my job. It made me like my job. And even though at the time, I probably had my like everyone does, their clique of people they prefer to spend time with. being out all this time and looking back on it and reconnecting with people, especially after Brandon passed, and reconnecting with a lot of old familiar faces that I didn't at the time consider friends. And now I look back on it, and then, what else can you call yourself for that after you go through things like that? So, I look forward to that podcast Saturday. Hopefully you guys can join us. I know for sure I've been talking for at least 20 minutes now, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. But before I do, I'm going to go ahead and throw the sponsors out real quick. A1 Credit Solutions, Credit Consultants. Go to them for your credit needs. If you're looking to take care of, liens, inquiries, bankruptcies, late payments, repossessions, foreclosures, collection charge-offs, or judgments, give them a call, 1-800-997-4991, or you can get them at their website at a1credit.us, and just let them know that Sal sent you from the Perception Therapy podcast, and they'll hook you up. And of course, our other sponsors are mermaidbeachweddings.com. If you're thinking about married to that special someone, don't be afraid. Take the leap and have faith that it's the right move. If you've been together long enough, you know your person well enough, and you know yourself well enough. I can't stress that part enough. I don't know how other people do it, but I like to pay attention to the times that me and my wife are not on sync, and try to learn from those moments, and try to really self-analyze what my cause is and what my effect is in that situation. I can't speak on that enough. It's self-awareness, man, and self-correction. And, you're not always in the wrong, but you got to be willing to admit when you are. All right. So, if you're thinking about tying down that special someone, go to mermaidbeachweddings.com, and in the contact form, go ahead and put Perception Therapy Podcast. I'm going through their packages here so you guys can take a look at some of them. Very evenly priced compared to some of the other wedding ceremony locations that service this area. We get that a lot from from the customers there, that they're very happy with the price. So go check them out. Let them know Sal sent you, Perception Therapy Podcast. And other than that, this podcast is brought to you by saldetech.com, where you can get your IT consulting needs. And check out the podcast. You can travel to Puerto Rico. I will be your tour guide around here in English. I'll take you to the fun places that are not tourist traps. I do take everyone to one tourist trap only because it's a great place. And it's not so much a trap as it's just a tourist location because it's awesome. It's a nice waterfall that you can jump from. And on the other side, about 5-minute walk down the pathway, is a rope swing with another waterfall that you can hang out underneath, get splashed on. Feels really good to get a waterfall pounding on your head, especially when it's been raining and it comes down really heavy. It feels like the greatest shower you've ever had in your life, or at least that's what it feels like to me. So, speaking for myself, it feels great. Everyone I've taken there enjoys the hell out of it. I look forward to taking more people there. I have been trying to reconnect with this couple that my wife and I met one of the times we went to a different location, different tourist trap. They were being turned away. Well, not turning away. They were turning away because they didn't speak Spanish. The husband was German. The wife was Indian. And they both spoke English, but neither one of them spoke Spanish. So they were about to U-turn and take off when we showed up, and I offered them to take them up to the rope swing and to the waterfall up top, and they were happy to join us, and we had a great time hanging out with them. So hopefully I'll be able to get them onto the podcast. They live in Germany, but all good there. Hopefully they're doing well, as are you. Hopefully you're doing well as well. All right. If you're not doing well, Take a look at what you're doing. There's only two ways to change it. Change what you're doing or change how you feel about it. Until next time, until Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Atlantic Time. You California people will have to figure out your own time zone. But we will be back Saturday. Hope all is well. Hope all continues well. See you guys later.